So this is the opening of the regularly scheduled Norton Conservation Commission meeting. It is Monday, January 27th at 6:31 p.m. We are going to open with the obligatory reading because we're on Zoom. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29th, 2023 bill extending several COVID-era policies and programs by allowing virtual meetings to continue from March 31st, 2023 to March 31st, 2025. This meeting of the Norton Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the end of this agenda. Members of the public attending the public hearing / meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the meeting designated for public comment by raising their hand virtually or by pressing *9 and participating by phone. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Borton Cable website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So, John, what is the legal requirement that we have to read that preamble every time? Is it, I mean, can we say according to the published preamble, or will that satisfy?
I think, yeah, and I think moving forward, we can definitely do that. Now, obviously, I think the preamble is going to change in like 2 months because March 2025 is the next deadline for the governor to say whether we can continue having these virtual meetings. So I'll probably update it once.
Okay, well, I think what we'll do is just according to the published preamble.
I think that's appropriate rather than, I think Dan enjoyed reading it. So, you know.
Well, all right, well, we'll do it that way until the Supreme Court steps in. So, but I think they're going to be busy, so we won't have to worry about that.
I think so too.
All right, so we have, well, let's see, we have 5 members tonight: myself, Julian Kadish, Joseph Carvalho, Paxton Haschel, Tama Vest, and Mark Fernandez. We also have John Thomas, our director, and Megan Harb, our assistant, participating tonight. And we have absent, let's see if I can remember this, Dan Pearson, Thomas here, Lisa Rosa, and who's our last member?
That's it.
Oh, we got 5. That's true. We only had up to 7. All right. So first item of business is our meeting minutes from last time, and I think we had a full panel last time, so no issue of anyone having to abstain. I didn't see anything of concern. Anybody have any comments? If not, we can entertain a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Joe, seconded by Paxton. So, Joe, Mark, and Tama, how do you vote?
Aye.
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 And Paxton?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. The motion carries. Next item, there was a request for, I guess it's, well, Mass Department of Transportation to continue the public hearing for the redesign of Worcester Street North and South with 123. They request a continuation until February 10th.
I need a motion from you guys.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Thomas, seconded by Mark. Joe, Mark, and
Aye.
Tom, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Paxton?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. The motion carries. Our next item is public inquiries. Oh, we have a gentleman on the, or at least a computer named Scott. But probably no inquiries. And department updates, anything, any comments?
I think we're going to be getting a couple new projects coming in the door. Although we received about, I want to say, 2 or 3 new filings today. One prospective new filing I have to talk about potentially the meeting after. So still they're coming in, even though we still have snow, and we're anticipating to see more snow in the future. So looking forward to it.
Okay. All right, so we have no new public hearings, but we do have a continued public hearing for, I guess we don't have a file number yet, even though this has been cooking for a while, but 280 West Main Street. And Scott, I assume you are the representative for the applicant.
Yes, sir. Scott Adams with Advanced Engineering Group, representing King Barbers and the owner of the property. So yes, absolutely. We've been here a couple of months ago before the holidays is when we were first notified of this enforcement order. Just to give a brief recap for the board. Obviously, my firm was unaware of the ongoings here. So during the holiday season, we obviously worked quickly to survey the area, to hire a licensed wetland scientist to flag the wetland line, survey the site, locate those wetland flags. And then we were on one of the previous agendas to discuss the enforcement orders and how best to proceed forward. So we took the board's guidance and we hired a landscape architect to come up with a mitigation plan for the restoration of that area to the extent possible. That existing site behind the building was previously disturbed.
Do you have a plan you can
Absolutely, sir.
post up on that screen?
I closed the wrong plan as always, right? So let's see. Screen. Okay. So this is the historic barbershop that's been this way since at least the 80s or so, from the sounds of it. It's always been kind of used as a barbershop with a parking in the front adjacent to West Main Road, 280 West Main Road. The existing septic system is in the rear of the building. That was done previously prior to our engagement in this sometime in the 2000s. There is a intermittent stream that runs in the rear of the property with an adjacent wetland. Just to recap for the board members, we came in with an RDA to basically repave the parking lot. It's a barbershop, was going to be a proposed barbershop, but they were adding a handicap ramp to the rear of the site as required by code. And they were going from 2 entrances down to a single entrance. So this work was still within the buffer zone and required, approval of the commission. So an RDA was submitted and approved at that time. Subsequent to them, the contractor that was doing the work was, to put it mildly, too aggressive in their cleanup work behind the building. The owners understand the floor of their actions and, are definitely apologetic and are agreeable to correct this issue. So as part of the last time in front of the board, we were requested to bring on a landscape architect to come up with a design for this area, which we have done, and we provided that his design has been added to our set by Adam Latham, who was a registered landscape architect in Massachusetts. The planting schedule is such that it more or less follows the 97-foot contour, which seemed a good point of demarcation for that replication area. Shows all the plants and labels, the seed mixes that are to occur within the buffer as well as within the wetland seed mix area. And the area that's outside of that is pretty much the existing septic tank and leach field that still is currently within the 25-foot, current no-touch zone. And then we included, obviously, the planting details. Also, as part of that time, I kind of skipped over it, but as was discussed at the previous meeting, we had the applicant and their contractor quickly stabilize the area with hay and tackifier, and that was reviewed and approved by the agent for the commission, John.
Correction on the hay, it was actually straw.
So,
we
sorry.
know. Yeah,
Yes,
hay is
thank you.
illegal in
I
Massachusetts.
am slip of the tongue. I apologize. So that work had been reviewed and approved around the holidays as well. I know they worked pretty quickly over the holiday long weekend to get that in place as was requested. And then they also extended the straw swaddles because there was a couple of gaps in their original installation that we asked them to rectify, and they did that as well. And then subsequent to that, then we were able to bring on a landscape architect, and it did take well over a month to get somebody engaged and on the project and back with the design for us to revise the plans accordingly. I would be happy to answer any questions of the board at this time.
I have a question. Did we address the potential hazardous tree there with the debarking? Discussed where the machine had stripped the bark where the containers were stored within our area of concern.
He did not address that tree specifically in his design.
Yeah, it may have to wait till spring to have, I mean, your assessment, Joe, is that tree is dead at this point with the damage that was done.
I'm not saying it's dead, but it's on its way, and it should be something that probably should be addressed now before later, while we're working in this area and machinery is going to have to get back there for removal. It would be, wise to do it now while the site's already disturbed.
Yeah, but that was not you could take that down with a saw and just haul it out in pieces. But
I highly doubt that. It's probably, if not dealt with now, will definitely be crane work and very extensive in the future.
But when do you anticipate this work would begin? I'm assuming it would be not until April or May. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would think April. It would probably be the earliest, I suspect. I'm looking for a picture of that tree offhand. I think
certainly that tree does need to be addressed, and it would be much more practical, as Joe suggests, to get it dealt with before plantings are put in there.
Especially whether we're going to either, depending on how we're going to deal with the roots there, whether it be stump grinding or removal or whatever needs to be approved at that point.
I mean, what is the board's pleasure? I mean, do you want the tree removed and the stump to remain? I mean, that's typically what we would do this close to a resource area.
I have no preference. John, is there any kind of requirement?
I feel like I had a better picture last time, but
There was a picture from the other side where it was completely debarked on the other side.
I'm in trouble locating it.
I mean, for this one, I would say that, an experienced tree cutter could potentially take care of that if they climbed it, so they wouldn't need a crane. But at the same point, I mean, it does look like it's on its way out, I'd say, from what I'm looking at. So it's better probably to look at taking it down now, hiring a tree tech company to do that work along with the mitigation efforts in tandem come spring. I'd say that definitely add that to the list. But we can definitely add it to any sort of order that we're going to issue for this, as being selective for that one tree.
Absolutely. I'm sure my clients will not have a problem, taking this tree down. It is close to the septic system, so I definitely would recommend they hire someone to do it correctly instead of just dropping it and potentially damaging their septic system.
So just so the commission's aware, we do not have a DEP number for this one. Actually, DEP reached out to our office today asking for more information from our office. They didn't receive the enforcement order, so I had to send that over to them. But I anticipate them releasing a number potentially in the next couple days, since Scott and his team recently sent this over. So I would, probably for my benefit and for the applicant's benefit, I would probably have a draft order ready for the next meeting in anticipation to close this if we do get a number for this project. So I guess, for instance, for logistics here, we'd probably be looking for a potential continuance until the next meeting, which would be, Megan, is that the
That would be the 10th.
10th? So just to kind of be realistic here.
Yeah, if there are any other questions from anyone, either the commission or I see there's an iPhone 84 or whatever up there. If there are any questions about this project, otherwise we can consider a motion to continue this hearing until February 10th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Thomas, seconded by Joe. So Joe, Paxton, and Tama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so motion carries. So, Scott, I guess we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, actually, it's not, you'll have to check with John. If it's just gonna be close and review the orders, you probably wouldn't have to attend.
Perfect. I'll follow up. Thank you. Have a
All
good
right,
day.
very good. Thank you. Next item of business is order of conditions for file number 250-1169 222 Bay Road concerning the extension of the lawn area. So really boilerplate, except for the one item, item 4 that talks about the permit authorizes the following activities and describes those activities. So everything else is standard. So any comments? If not, we consider a motion to accept the orders of condition as presented.
Sorry, I'll make that motion. I couldn't find my mute button.
Second.
We have a motion by Tama, seconded by Joe. Joe, Mark, and Tama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Paxton?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. The motion carries. So you had some other things you wanted to mention? John?
For projects coming in?
Yeah,
So we,
you said you might talk about it later, yeah.
okay, yeah, so we have a couple new projects potentially coming in. One's going to be an amendment to that, I guess, the 360 South Worcester project. I think they came in with like I want to say a 35,000 square foot warehouse project. That is being changed and modified for a potential landscape yard. So that project's coming in with a new applicant, but the limit of work is remaining unchanged. So it's going to have to go through the same kind of provisions for stormwater review and site plan review and planning board review as well. So that'll be in front of us for an amendment, but then also for the planning board for minor modification. So just so the board's aware on that one. Then we have a new filing for Dave Patuk over on South Washington Street. He's coming in with a brand new kind of design and project. He just dropped it off today. And that's going to be a little bit different, modified just a little bit differently. He's changing the limit of work. But he'll be coming in for a new project. He has to close out the previous project before we can issue a new one. But he also wants to make sure that the Concom's okay with issuing the new project before we close out the previous one. So that's going to be a twofold project with that one. And then, Megan, what's the other one that just came in? Was it ANRAD for the?
And ANRAD came in for 260 South Washington.
Yeah, so this was the property that abutted the billboard project where the extended stay is. There's that vacant parcel to the north. That property is coming in for an ANRAD, so there might be some potential verification of wetlands for a new potential development over there. I think that's it mostly. Then we have a new prospective change modification to the rodeo property that might be coming in up on North Washington Street. So I have a meeting and discussion with that landowner coming up, so I'll see what they're looking to do. But as of right now, those are 4 new potential projects that are in front of us or will be in front of us for conservation jurisdiction.
All right.
John, do we know if the rodeo has a registered farm number?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I think we should proceed with caution with that till we find out whether they are registered.
They did
mean-
mention that there was all agricultural land when I talked to them on the phone.
Yeah. Was it, does it have a chapter designation or no? Do we
I
know?
believe so.
It does? Okay.
So we just need to make sure that we're aware of those restrictions.
Yeah, and obviously, if there is a designation on the property, they have to release it if they're gonna do any sort of, I guess that would be what, is rodeos a commercial enterprise, is it not?
He said agricultural, so
Are they making money off of it by entertainment?
Entertainment, it's allowed in agritourism, so
Okay.
it just depends on whether or not they carry a federal ag.
Yes,
register.
so that's, I guess, what, would you say that's skirting the line a little bit on that, or?
it's semantics.
I would not, but it's just something, like I say, when we look at wetlands, we just need to remember that there's those, those numbers that we have to abide by.
Yeah. So we'll have to take a little bit more, I guess, of a, magnifying glass to that one to better understand it.
Whether or not the areas are designated or not.
Yep.
So obviously, if there's a specific commercial space, we can make sure it's separated out.
All right. Are we, have we baked the cake?
I think so. We're ready for the icing. Everybody good?
Yeah.
All right. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you in
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Right.
Take care.
Good night.